Hey, what's up guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of the main event, my Maine Mariners Road to Glory series. The mission is simple. Bring the Kelly Cup to Portland. In this episode, we continue onward with our second season. We're off to a very hot start. I don't know what a very hot start is, but we are off to a very hot start. 8-2 on the season as of October 31st, and we are good to continue onward. Or no, we're not. Oh god, because of the changes to the roster. We have been absolutely screwed by these moves. It's pretty rough. The good thing is, though, we have 2 spots on the roster, so I can call up whoever I need to. We will call up Austin Levi, just to have a defenseman already and available, and we'll also call up Luke Boca. And that should be good enough as we redo the lines. I think we're good now. Ragnarsson was called up. I'm aware. Can we go? Hey, there we go. We're moving. We're on our way. I'm intrigued to see how well this episode goes for us. It's been a habit for me in all sports titles to get off to a hot start of the season. And if we end the episode, we normally end up crashing back down to reality. And if it's going to take this long to sim, hey, there we go. I was going to say, if it's going to take that long to sim, we'll be jump cutting quite a bit, but no real news there of which to speak. We do end up playing Adirondack tomorrow on the Saturday. I'll be intrigued to see if we have a game behind that. Decent chance of it. And if the sim speed, it's not that bad, but if it's going to go this slowly, I think we might be jump cutting it in this episode. I'd like to stay live with it, but jump cuts may be the way to go. Yeah, they're going to be the way to go. Maybe. There's the autosave as well. We'll stick with it for the moment. I want to sim this game against Adirondack and Worcester, and we'll take it from there. So as far as the Board of Confidence update, again, 8-2 in the opening month. Everything's good. We can't possibly be fired anyway. Let's see what we can do here against the Thunder. The likes of Kevin Rooney in their lineup, Curtis Gabriel, Shane Conacher, and Dennis Robertson. Some of the big names that stick out. Let's do this. Cam Johnson between the pipes against Jamie Phillips, and it's a 3-2 overtime loss, but I will gladly take the pity point. 55 shots to 40. Defense? What is this defense of which you speak? There is no defense to be found here, and I gotta admit, I am now a little bit worried that we're gonna start losing quite a few games. We talked about it, so now it has to happen, right? We're gonna lose all of the games because I had to mention it. Let's play Worcester. I always want to say the Worcester Sharks, but they're not the Sharks anymore. Schmaltz is hurt. How badly and for how long? Day-to-day with a bruised calf. Okay, well, that's okay. Getson ends up in the lineup. Let's see what we can do here against the Railers. Chris Nell between the pipes against Stephen Williams. And it's a 2-1 overtime win. So back-to-back overtime games. 29 shots to 26. We do get the win, though, in the shootout. I don't believe I can see who scored in the shootout. No, I can. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Jaden Deschanel wins the day for us as we pick up another injury. Walter's on this one. It's going to be day-to-day, though, I believe. Or not. 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks. That's a great way to start. Nothing like being able to test our depth this early into an episode. That's always great, especially when the depth of this team is changing on a near weekly basis, thanks to, of course, the 2 teams that we're at the mercy of. But that's okay. I'm going to jump cut it because I feel like it's going to take a while. I'll see you guys either at the end of the month or when something interesting happens. So I went ahead and simmed all the way to December 1st. Really not a whole hell of a lot had gone on with the team. We had a couple of call-ups and send-downs that we'll get to in a moment. But as it stands, we are still the top team in the Eastern Conference with a 15-5-1 record. Getting to the team, Vinny Pedri had been sent down, as had Sean Day. So the defense got a little bit of a bump up. Of course, we ended up losing some players that ended up getting called up. But overall, The roster that we've been rolling with is this right here. Walters just came back from injury, so he's been a little bit new, but it's still a pretty damn solid team. Both goaltenders are in pretty damn good form. And again, that defense right now, Pedri, Day, Gilmore, it's still an unreal top three that we have thanks to the Rangers, and it's paid off quite well thus far in terms of the entire ECHL. We are the top team. Granted, maybe not for that much longer. We have 3 games played, 3 games more played than the Indy Fuel, who are only 3 points back. So it's tough. We are tied right now with the league lead in terms of games played, but things are looking pretty damn good. We'll try to stay alive for this. We have a back-to-back against Reading. We'll see how that ends up going for us before potentially moving on. And actually, I just simmed through it. I meant to hit play. It's all right, though. We win 6-5. I will gladly take it. Now 16 wins on the season as the autosave kicks in, but that's okay. We'll see what else we're dealing with here. Once that is done, Board of Confidence update, we went 8-3-1 throughout the month of November. Let's see what happens here against the Royals. I want to take a look at their lineup really quickly. Mike Vecchione, Obey Kubel, obviously a Philadelphia Flyers associated club. Friedman in there as well. It's a decent team. In goal, they have Griffin Outhouse or Tokarski, and it is Griffin Outhouse who is struggling this year. Chris Nell, though, in the 8 games he's played, has been phenomenal. Let's sim this game and lose 9-0. That is the worst loss I think I've ever seen in this game. Wow. 9 goals. Whew. Alright, let's go back to not going through this live because good lord. January 1st, 2020. Kinda weird to think that it's not all that far away in the grand scheme of things. As it stands right now, we have dropped into 2nd place in the Eastern Conference with a 21-8-2 record on the season. Had a feeling, of course, that we would fall behind a little bit, but we are still atop of the Eastern Conference North Division. Of course, with the way the playoff format is structured in the ECHL, it's the top 4 teams, again, from each division that happen to make the playoffs. Right now, the 5th place Newfoundland Growlers, the Newfoundland. I heard so many people pronounce it Newfoundland growing up. I'm sorry, it's just one of those things where it's ingrained. But the Newfie Growlers currently on 29 points, so there is a decent amount of separation between us and being outside looking in when it comes to the playoff structure. As far as the team is concerned, we have stayed relatively healthy. There have been no changes to the team since we last played. And again, there's really not a whole hell of a lot we can do. This is the roster for this year. I don't expect to make any trades. There's really not much we can do anyway in terms of maneuverability, especially with the under 26 rule. We're pretty much just locked into simming about a month at a time and trying to make the best of it. Let's continue onward with that then, shall we? I'll talk to you in February unless something else interesting happens. Now, we do have a very interesting change to the team, not just the fact that Jared Bethune had been called up to Hartford, but for the fact that Vyacheslav Volkov has been sent down from Hartford. He has been terrible at the AHL level. He spent the beginning of the season in the Russian 4th tier, and because he's been sent down, Jamie Phillips has as well. So again, we are at the mercy of the teams above us. It is now basically Chris Nell for us in goal. Otherwise, we might have a little bit of trouble. We are currently, though, back atop the Eastern Conference. Things are looking pretty good. We still have a little bit of time, though, before we get to even the trade deadline. We're about 2 months out. I join you now on March 7th, 2020, where the Maine Mariners find themselves in 5th place. A terrible run of form since we've last talked. Could very well screw us out of a decent playoff spot. The playoffs begin in just over a month on April 9th, and again, we find ourselves in 5th place. Now, we are not exactly in danger of missing out on the playoffs. That would take quite a collapse. The 58-point Growlers would have to jump, but still, we are now 3 points back of both Adirondack and Manchester, who are each 3 points ahead. I can't speak. I'm honestly kind of shocked that we managed to fall this far behind. Again, Volkov hasn't exactly done much for us. For the most part, the lineup's been relatively healthy, and this is really all we can afford to do. I mean, if we look at the injury list too, it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense as to why we've just now started to fall off. It sucks, for sure. Doesn't really make a whole hell of a lot of sense. It is unfortunate, but hopefully we can turn things around here. And I'm not sure whether or not we'll stick live with it at this point. It might be worth waiting until April 1st, because it could be a down-to-the-wire situation as to what our seeding is going to be in the playoffs. April 1st, 2020, your Maine Mariners sitting at 36, 28, and 5 in 6th place in the Eastern Conference. It has been a pretty brutal collapse. We are going to be a playoff team, no doubt about it. Still 9 points ahead of the Growlers, currently 3 points clear of the Reading Royals, but now 10 points back of Manchester and nearly 20 points back of the Adirondack Thunder. It has been a horrible, horrible second half of the season for us, and it's not necessarily down to us losing players. I don't really know if I can put my finger on it as to why we have struggled as much as we have. I mean, the lineup has been affected defensively. Of course, the backup goaltending has been rough, but it is rather surprising to have seen us struggle like we have in the back half of the season. I do want to finish the season. Playoffs start in just a few short days, but needless to say, the opportunity to have better seeding heading into the playoffs has absolutely escaped us. As frustrating as that is, and it really is frustrating. Our squad is better than that, or at least you'd like to think our squad is better than that. I'd like to think our squad's better than that, but apparently not. Apparently not, as disappointing as that is. But we still have a little bit of time left. We need to make sure, especially against Adirondack and Worcester, that we are able to stay ahead of Reading in the playoffs to get that better seed. It is promising that we're going to be a playoff team for the second year in a row, as we end up losing both of those games. We end up playing the Growlers and lose that one too. Wow. So like I said, it's promising, but good Lord, that is not at all what I was hoping for. Damn. That is horrific, I'm going to go with. Relatively horrific. That's pretty much going to guarantee that Reading jumped us, and they did. And that is so disappointing. We're only 3 points clear of the Growlers. If this season had not ended today, if there was a week to go in the year, there is a very good chance that we would have crashed and burned out of the playoffs. 3-9-1 through the month of March, and we lose all 3 games that we have here in April. Yikes. I really can't put my finger on what happened to this squad either. Again, we had some changes, of course, but nothing overly drastic. A couple of changes, of course, with Hartford and the Rangers, but again, nothing too crazy, as we will be playing Adirondack in the playoffs, and that scares the hell out of me. It really does, with how good they have been. We finished as the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, the final team from the North Division to make it into the playoffs. We go from being the top team in the league to technically being 17th and making the playoffs. And again, if we look at the playoff structure here, Cincinnati plays Indy. You have Kalamazoo. Good old Kalamazoo. Love it. And the Idaho Steelheads, the Allen Americans, and the Fort Wayne Comets. Kansas City plays Toledo. And over on the other side, of course, we're playing Adirondack, Orlando, and Florida, Reading, and Greenville, the Manchester Monarchs, and the Norfolk Admirals. Not good. not a good situation to be in, where all of a sudden now we get to play the team that somehow finished 21 points ahead of us, and I can't help but think we're due for a very, very bad time in the playoffs. I mean, we'll find out for sure. I want to take a look at what we're up against. I think we're going to save that for the next episode. Hopefully a playoff run. You never know. There might be a miracle on the horizon. They have a strong squad. I mean, it's not as if we're that bad either. I mean, if you look at the player ratings, I mean, relatively similar. If we look at what the squad did this year, 59 points for Deschanel, 58 for Lozon. You had Walters playing 55 games. So, I mean, we had some players do relatively well in terms of the point totals. Goaltending-wise, I can't help but wonder. So we got to look at the save percentage. Yeah, Chris Nell really started to drop off. I mean, Volkov wasn't that bad, but I feel like Jamie Phillips was the guy really leading the way for us. And unfortunately, when we didn't get to use him, we kind of fell off. Is that true? Phillips had a 9-12. Not a drastic difference, but I really feel like that Volkov reassignment screwed up a bit of the momentum that we had, even if he wasn't all that bad. I mean, Sean Day had 22 points in the 53 games that he played, 23 points for Pedri. I mean, John Gilmore absolutely killed it. And really, in terms of point totals for defensemen, we were looking okay. Dawson Lidl underperformed this year massively, especially when compared to last year. Ryan Walters did okay. Of course, he missed some time due to injury, but technically he underperformed as well. And it might be down to us needing to take a look at maybe a couple of different options here, especially too lineup management-wise. Potentially looking at some other setups that we could go for to really make sure we have a good chance to win here. Can't help but think, though, maybe we send down Getson and Andrusiak, call up Bison, or a Bisson, perhaps. Maybe look to call him up. Howard Chuck had 77 points in the minors this year, 75 for a coin. I think I want to mix and match here and try to call up some new faces. Maybe see just what the hell's going on and see what the hell we can do here. Let's see, 39 games, 75 points, 45. Yeah, let's call up Parker Coin. Decent chance Howard Chuck gets an opportunity, but I'm not yet sure. Fogarty disappointed, but we have no choice but to use him. Braves with 41 points. Lozon with 58. Into that bad. Huff 61 points in 38 games. And then Measy with 53 points and 42. Actually, not that bad. Boca had 21 points on the year. Schmaltz with 40. I don't really know if anybody else deserves to get bumped down, I gotta be honest, and the coin's probably not even gonna play that much. I think getting Bison or Bisson into the lineup might be a decent enough move for us. We certainly have options, and for whatever reason, the game is not, I guess Duncan Simons is not 100%. That's right, we did get the email about that. Do I have room to call up? Let's take a look between Schaefer, who had 45 points, Tessenko with 43. Let's go for Schaefer. Try to get him ready to go for a potential playoff appearance. It's still not putting Schaefer into the lineup. That's super weird. Come on now. Dress player. And we should be good. There we go. For some reason I put him in at forward. Alright, we'll take out Schaefer. Easy enough. And Bartek. Welcome aboard. Get you into the lineup. There we go. That's a little bit better. Although, yeah, Duncan's still hurt, is he not? We have quite a bit we could change. Yeah, Duncan's still hurt, and that's the big issue. So, I don't know. Numerous options. Could just go set up organization. There we go. That gets it set up. I think I'm going to go in depth here with the setup, though, to try and make sure that we match up well against Adirondack. But overall, we end up simming nearly a full season. Unfortunately, though, the results not quite what I was hoping for. We barely sneak into the playoffs. Next episode, we will go through the playoffs, but of course I am a little bit less confident now than I was at the start of this episode that this could be the season. Seems like now it would take a miracle for that to be the case.